Oh, because no, I don't. Because the videos you saw of the town halls were for paid protesters in many of those places. These are Democrats who went to the events early and filled up the seats. If the videos had panned,
you can't argue they were all paid protesters, though, Mr. Speaker.
Many of them were.
A Republican acknowledged they were his constituents.
I just love that moment. She's the best person, I think, on the news right now because of questions like that to Mike Johnson, who's like, all these town halls across the country where people show up and rightly are horrified by things that we know from polling are wildly unpopular, even among a lot of Republicans. That's just paid protesters. We don't have to learn anything. We don't have to moderate. We could just go crazy. We go hog wild, and yeah, we'll probably lose the midterms, and a Democrat will probably get elected in 4 years. But it won't matter because by the time that happens, we'll have handed over $5 to $10 to $12 trillion to the wealthiest people in the country, and then the Democrats will have to try to fix the economy, and obviously they won't be able to do that in just a year and a half. So then they'll lose in the midterms, and things will swing back to us, and then we'll give trillions more to the wealthiest people in the country. The important thing is that we don't learn anything now. But the issue is that that's just not clear. As she said, many of these people are their constituents. The representatives themselves are acknowledging it, and the bad town halls continue. Here is one with Representative Keith Self. Take a look at this.
So the other one is the DOGE program. This is very closely akin to what Bill Clinton did between 93 Bill Clinton only plans to cut 400,000 jobs.
So look, to be clear, that was Representative Keith Self. His last name is Self. And I only mention that because a lot of people were saying Boo Earns. That's not his last name though. Anyway, I'm kidding. But that said, look, I love that they were booing him, but I love more so that they're right. When he stands up there and is like, well, this is the same as what Bill Clinton did, where they did like a 6-month review and then they downsized something. That's not what's happening here at all. By the way, we can debate the pros and cons of the two different approaches or whatever. But what you didn't have was Bill Clinton just say, hey, who's the richest person in the country? You want to just like fiddle around a little bit and kill programs, then bring it back and then kill it again. And by the way, totally illegally doing this, shutting down, not just firing people, shutting down constitutionally delegated funding that has been authorized by the legislature. He is breaking the law every time that he does this. None of this is like Bill Clinton at all. Whether you agree or disagree with Bill Clinton in the 90s, that's not what it is. And I love that they were not buying his BS, JR.
They're not buying it all over the country. Look, the talking point that Moses Mike Johnson likes to push now is like, they're fake people, they've been paid. I mean, they're not really the people. I mean, who cares? Like, he's pushing it off with this calm, again, that same calm demeanor where he thinks it's coming off like he's believable, but he's just the most sleazy, greasy liar out there. I mean, he's carrying Donald Trump's water everywhere he goes. So even in that point, when he said, in many of those places, they're paid off Democrats, the very easy follow-up question, ask for specifics. Really? Which one of those places, Mike? Since you know, and if you don't know which one of those places, why are you citing that these places were being paid off? Which one of the places were they not? Because you said many of those places, so not all of them. Which ones were they not being paid off? Which ones can you cite for me where people showed up and said, yes, we love DOGE? Maybe there were, but if there were, they would definitely be promoting them. And maybe they'll be sending in their paid actors to try and combat against those paid Democrats. By the way, speaking of Democrats that show up to town halls because they're these things called citizens and Americans and constituents for someone that represents them, if they show up and point out that veterans are being fired, and that's completely against the law from the way that they're being fired, and also against the promises that you're making about cleaning up the government and getting rid of fraud, waste, and abuse, which they still haven't found. Are Democrats they're not allowed to be represented? Like, this is an open admission from this party that they do not represent anyone that doesn't have an R by their name or an MAGA next to their name, because that's the only people they're looking to represent now. So why are they still trying to collect taxes from people that they don't want anything else to do with? If they don't have any input into our lives and have nothing to do with the constituency of this country, why are they paying it? We've circled right back to no representation or representation without taxation. What are we doing here? No one asks those very straightforward questions about what is it they're saying as they say it dismissively about what the American people deserve to know and deserve to have done for them for the money that we pay every year to their pockets.
I think there you meant taxation without representation.
That's what it was. I know I had
But interestingly, the Republican philosophy for the people that actually care about is representation, but without any taxation.
Yeah.
So it does actually work. And so look, obviously Johnson's not gonna he's not gonna be, talk to Kaitlan Collins, asked him a tough question. He's like, yeah, it's wild what's happening, man. It's unpopular too. I mean, he's not gonna say that. But refusing to acknowledge how unpopular it is, that is generally not a good political strategy. Like when Joe Biden refused to acknowledge people's concern about things having to do with the economy or whatever, how did that work out for him? It didn't work out well. That's just generally not how it works. Now I do like that they've done another week of these town halls. I assumed that they would have stopped. I know that they're gonna stop soon. But one other congressman, he told his constituents, if you just came here to yell, I can leave. Well, that'll help. That'll definitely help. Yeah. But you can't just ignore this, man. I mean, you can if what I described in the intro to this is the only thing that you care about is, look, we got in, we were sent here by the rich to hand them money, and then it doesn't matter what happens to us politically. Hell, you can vote me out, I'm just gonna become a lobbyist anyway. If that's honestly what's going on, and I think that's what it is, then fine, that doesn't really matter what happens. But for us, all we have at this point is to try to organize, protect each other, and get ready for the midterms. By the way, the claim that this is all being organized by the Democrats or whatever, how you think the Democrats deserve credit for that? Since when have they ever organized this well? That is not in their DNA. And by the way, really fast, it's not just at the Congress people. JD Vance himself actually experienced a bit of this. Take a look.
However, Vice President JD Vance is vacationing in a remote ski town in Vermont. And we did see some protests today lining the streets, including one protester who held a sign that said, "Go ski in Russia, traitor."
That's pretty good. I like it. Obviously, it was about the Zelensky thing, so that's pretty good. And just the history of parties that ignore justifiable rage, which is what we're seeing playing out across the country. It generally does not go well for them. And so I am already, I have a countdown. I am looking forward to these next two elections, midterm and presidential, and it looks like Republicans they're doing like a speed challenge run. They want these elections to go as bad for them as possible.
Almost like they don't care about elections anymore.
Yeah, well, Trump did say you're not gonna have to vote. So we're just assuming that it's gonna matter, but I can't guarantee that. Members make a difference here at TYT. You help make the show happen, and we see you in the chat with your loyalty badge. Click the join button to become a member today.